Good evening and welcome to Athens City Council. It's Tuesday night, not Monday. It's June 21st, a federal holiday being yesterday, and many important and meaningful Juneteenth celebrations around the Athens community on the weekend. Our first item of business in our regular session tonight is to establish the quorum, and we have 5 of our 7 council members present tonight. Next item of business is disposition of the minutes for the regular session held June 6th and the special session of council held on June 13th. And if I could have one motion for approval of these minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries and the minutes have been approved. Our next item of business is communications, and tonight we have a special presentation from SOPEC. And this is Ms. Erin Stevens, who's here to present to us tonight and give an update. So welcome.
Thank you. So what I wanted to do today is give you an update and also introduce myself and congratulate you. So my name's Erin Stevens, and I am Athens, the City of Athens, Southeast Ohio Community Liaison. This is a new position within SOPEC. The reason it was created is that we are expanding, so that's exciting. Our acronym is still SOPEC, but we have changed the S to Sustainable Ohio Public Energy Council, and that is because we are no longer only in Southeast Ohio. So we wanted to firstly thank you for being a founder member of SOPEC. And the exciting news with us expanding, Dayton is our latest new member, and with that, it creates more purchasing power that we have, so we can continue to lock in those rates that we have. Now, your rate is locked in for, you have a 2-year contract, so you're in the middle of your contract right now, and the rate continues to be 5.84 cents per kilowatt hour. So, and that is even with your carbon rate baked in there too. So that is going to give the citizens or residents of Athens City over the next 12 months, it's going to be about a 15% savings on their electricity. And that is compared to AP Ohio's standard service offer, which is right now 6.93. So that's going to fluctuate just a little bit, AEP's Ohio's standard service offer, but ours is locked in. So there's no worry for residents right now in such a volatile community, or just the way that the global market is going with all energy resources. So hopefully that gives residents a little bit of a relief. It correlates to or translates to about $100 over the next 12 months savings, so per household. Any questions about the rates or anything? All right.
We could take a moment if there are any questions. I mean, I think it's really exciting to see to hear that the program's expanded, because that says to me, I would think that Dayton gives us then more leverage to get potentially to get better rates.
Yes, precisely.
So
yeah, it is very exciting. Thank you.
Good. And any other prospects of other cities or expanding beyond?
So with
state?
Dayton and being in Southwest Ohio, there are, and with the rates being as competitive as they are, so not only are our rates competitive, but we're 100% Green E certified clean energy. So we have these superior rates in addition to being environmentally sound. And the fact that we reinvest in the communities that we're serving is definitely catching wind. So we've had a lot of interest lately, yes. And that's why also I'm so happy that SOPEC has created this position. Number one, because I love my job. Number two, because Luke, our executive director, is out there, talking to people, and what Athens, the city of Athens, has started, is really starting to snowball. So it's good. Exciting.
That's important to feel passionate about your job. Yeah, Councilmember Crowell.
Thank you. Do you know if any other communities are considering the carbon fee, which you mentioned?
Yeah, actually, there has been interest, And again, that was brought up on their own account. And so that's really exciting too, because not only can we save money, and I think that the communities that we serve are, interested in not putting any more burden on their citizens. But yes, being able to see that we can save money, we can put money aside, and we can reinvest, and in turn be able to see that like long game. If we got some solar panels, if we, number one, resiliency, I see that's a big topic with a lot of communities that I've been visiting. So resiliency, and then being able to save money in the future. So yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and that's the first in the nation, so that's incredible.
We're very proud.
Yeah, you should be. Thank you.
And were we able to get a screenshot of these signs? Will these signs be posted now as we enter the city?
These are the City of Athens signs, and how you were awarded this is it's an award from the EPA, and what it says is that you have exceeded the EPA's guidelines for buying clean, renewable energy. And so actually you had it for 2021, and we just received your brand new 2022 stickers, so I went ahead and put those on. So you can put them anywhere, but obviously they're big road signs, so they're meant to go in the entrance to the city.
So as we enter the community.
Yep.
That's great. Thank you.
And so I have it in a folder for the mayor, so I could probably leave it with you, Chris,
You could,
for the
yes,
mayor.
that would be fine.
Okay, great.
Yes.
And you brought up the carbon fee, thank you. If anybody ever wants to know what the balance is, it's public knowledge, it's on our website. So it's sopec-ohio.gov. So you can see that on there, but as of June 15th of this year, it was $175,808.60 is where.
Which is great.
So it's accumulating fast.
So, and then we can turn that around to do other sustainable projects.
Precisely.
Towards, better
precisely.
energy, which is great.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other comments that we have from council members? Mayor Patterson, thanks for all your work on this. I know you've been a big, long-time champion. I know you're with us remotely right at the moment, but both with your activities with SOPEC and NOPEC. So this is great to have this moving forward. Thank you. Okay, well, thanks for taking the time to join us. Yes, and if you'll leave in fact, you could leave it right on the desk over there. That would be great. We'll make sure and get the packets to the mayor.
Great, thank you. And let me know if anybody has any questions, my email, I've got stuff for you too. So
Okay.
I'm your direct lead.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to reports and communications. I don't think I asked, were there any communications from council members? Reports from and communications from other elected officials. Mayor Patterson.
The only thing that I have to add to that kind of dovetails into what Aaron Stevens was just mentioning, although it's looking forward, is there's another organization that's called Clean Fuels Ohio, which is a parallel organization to the Clean Futures Ohio organization, Power Clean Futures Ohio, to where they have asked the city of Athens to apply for a program which would expand our EV electrification infrastructure for the city of Athens. They were looking for a community that was a rural community, also looking for an area that fit within the distressed counties designation. Clearly we fit both of those bills. And so with the work with Deputy Service Safety Director Andrew Chicky and myself, we're hopeful that we'll be able to be successful in getting into this program and start looking at expanding our EV charging station electrification in the city of Athens. That's all I have, memorizing. One other thing, I did receive an email. I think it was sent to all of City Council, just acknowledging that I received an email from an individual about the Stimson Avenue location for the fire station headquarters. So I did receive that yesterday, I believe it was.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the report, Mayor. All right, we will move now on to ordinances for third reading. 8122 is an ordinance authorizing the disposal of a mower at the water treatment plant, and this is introduced by Councilmember McCary.
Thank you, President Isley. I'd like to move that we adopt 8122.
Second.
This has been reviewed in committee and prior meetings. Section 1, Athens City Council hereby authorizes the disposal of a Kubota mower acquired in 2013 and used by the water treatment plant, no longer needed for a municipal purpose. So this ordinance authorizes the Service Safety Director to dispose of said equipment as a trade-in for a new mower. Any questions or comments?
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and second for approval of 8122. Any other comments from our audience or questions? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries and the ordinance is approved. Ordinance 8222 is an ordinance amending the 2022 appropriation ordinance and introduced by Councilmember Crowell.
Thank you, President Isley. I'd like to make a motion to approve 8222.
Second.
Thank you, Member Ziff. Two items on this appropriation, $500 for the Law Director's Office for a new computer, and $10,000 to the Athens Enhancement Fund for the Athens Arts and Music Festival in August. Thank you, President Isley.
Okay, we have motion and second for approval of 8222. Do we have any other comments or questions from council members, administration, or our audience members? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries and the ordinance is approved. Ordinance 8722 is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to submit applications and enter into agreements with the Ohio Department of Transportation for municipal, bridge, and local major bridge program funds, introduced by Councilmember Reisner.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to make a motion that we adopt 8722.
Second?
It's exactly as the title says it is, so I highly recommend we adopt it so we can repair some bridges.
Okay. We have a motion and second for approval. Any other comments or questions on this ordinance from council members, administration, or audience? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries and the ordinance is approved. 8822 is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to submit an application to participate in the state capital improvement and/or local transportation improvement programs for Issue 1 funds and to execute contracts as required. This is introduced by Councilmember Reisner.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to make a motion that we adopt 8822.
Second.
Again, the title says it all.
Okay. All right. And we have the motion and second. Do we have any other questions or comments on this particular ordinance from council members or administration or audience? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries and the ordinance is approved. 8922 is an ordinance authorizing West Washington sidewalk and safety improvements. This is project number 335, and it's introduced by Councilmember Reisner.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that we adopt 8922.
Second?
I'm all in favor of safe sidewalks, and I recommend that we pass this.
Okay. And any other comments or questions? I think this was part of the improvements, and Sully, from our staff of the Public Works Department, met with members of the Neighborhood Association and the Department of Natural Resources to review the improvements. Yes, Councilmember Ziff.
Thank you, President Isaac. I just wanted to say how much I appreciate the effort that's gone into making this happen. I know people on the west side often feel like it's sort of they sometimes feel like a neglected neighborhood every once in a while. Every time I see any kind of West Washington, anything around there, kind of improvements, it brings a little bit of joy to my little West Sider heart. So, yay.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion and second for approval of 8922. And Mayor Patterson, yes, thank you.
Thank you, President Isley. Yeah, I want to kind of echo what Councilmember Zepp was just saying. This has been a long time coming. This was something, as council may remember, that former council member Arian Smedley was pushing for, and I recognize it has taken us a long time. It has been a challenge with the slope dynamics along West Washington, but it's great to see this project finally coming to fruition, and certainly want to recognize former councilmember Arian Smedley for all her efforts to make sure that this could get done. So I have to give a loud shout out to her as well.
Point well taken, thank you. So we have the motion and second for approval of this ordinance. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries and the ordinance is approved. 9022 is an ordinance authorizing construction and construction engineering for the water treatment plant salt storage roof slab and beam replacement project. This is project number 354, introduced by Councilmember McCary.
Thank you, President Nisley. I'd like to move that we adopt 9022.
Second.
Terrific. This would authorize the Service Safety Director to advertise and accept bids where necessary and enter into contracts with the lowest and best bidder for construction and construction engineering for the water treatment plant, salt storage roof slab, and beam replacement project number 354. Section 2, the 2022 Appropriation Ordinance 15021 is hereby amended by appropriating from the unappropriated balance $235,000 to Water Fund 740 Transaction Class 500 and increasing the total appropriations by said amounts. Section 3, the Service Safety Director is hereby authorized to expand up to $255,000 from Water Fund 740 Transaction Class 500, capturing all costs to date for said project number 354. I would like to, again, encourage folks to recommend we adopt this repair.
Okay. We have a motion and second. Any other comments or questions from council members, administration, or our audience members? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries and the ordinance is approved. 9122 is an ordinance authorizing a debt collection agreement between Capital Recovery Systems, Inc. and Athens County Municipal Court, and this is introduced by Councilmember Crowell.
Thank you, President Nisley. I'd like to make a motion to approve 9122.
Second.
Thank you, Member Ziff. This is pretty much in the title. This is agreement for the courts to be able to collect fees. It is a one-year agreement, and it is automatically renewed unless the client, which in this case is not City Council but the Athens County Municipal Court, indicates that they do not wish to renew this within 30 days of 1 year. So I would like the courts to make sure that they're keeping an eye on that in terms of this automatic renewal that is part of this agreement.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to approve this if I didn't already say that. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion and second for approval of 9122, a new debt collection system for the courts. Any comments or questions from council members, administration, or our audience members? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries and the ordinance is approved. 9222 is an ordinance amending the 2022 appropriation ordinance and is introduced by Councilmember Crowell.
Thank you, President Nisley. I'd like to make a motion to approve 9222.
Second.
Thank you, Member Grace. Two items in this appropriation ordinance. A Bureau of Workers' Compensation premium refund in the amount of $33,308 and an appropriation of $10,117 to the Transportation Fund as the city's share for a light, low-floor transit vehicle. Thank you, President Isley.
We have a motion and second for approval. Any comments or questions from council members, administration, or our audience? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries and the ordinance is approved. We now have ordinances for second reading. The first one is 8522. This is an ordinance amending Athens City Code Title 29, Housing Regulations, Chapter 29.36, prohibited actions to add section 29.36.02, tenant's right to pay to stay, introduced by Councilmember Ziff. And if no comments or questions, do we have any comments or questions? You would have up to 3 minutes to speak. You just need to give us your name and address and whether or not you represent a group.
Okay. My name's Catherine King. My address is 17133 True Town Road, and I'm representing United Athens County Tenants. First of all, we're super excited again about this ordinance, and really happy that Councilperson Zip brought this to the table. And I don't personally understand all the legal stuff behind this, but one of our members who is an attorney was concerned about whether the section on attorney's fees might conflict with Ohio Revised Code, and was sending an email to council to explain those concerns. So we just wanted to make sure that you all were looking out for that. I think that was supposed to go out today. And because we're a tenants' rights group, we would also encourage you not to limit this to once per calendar year, just because we think that there's already a lot of incentives for tenants not to use this because the eviction would be on their record and because it's difficult for them to get to court, and just generally not a good thing for a tenant to go through an eviction process anyway. So we would encourage you not to have that in the ordinance, but we're very excited and grateful for you all for bringing this to the table.
Okay, thank you. All right, if no other comments or questions, we will move on to Ordinance 8622, and we could probably let Councilmember Grace know that she could enter in. She's recused herself from any kind of conversation or discussion. Okay. We'll be back in business with the next ordinance in just a moment here. There we go. All right. 8622 is an ordinance amending chapters 7.05 parking regulations and 7.06 tow truck regulations in Athens City Code Title 7, Traffic Code, introduced by Councilmember Reisner. And if no comments or questions from anyone, then we will move on to our ordinances. Oh, Mr. Crane? Okay.
Thank you. Damon Crane, Hudson Avenue. Tonight I just wanted to review some of what I see as reasons to or to not regulate towing locally. Until very recently, the administration's answer to this question was we shouldn't do it because we can't do it. I'm not going to beat that dead horse anymore tonight. We all know that's false. Next up, Chief Pyle said we shouldn't regulate towing operators locally because if we do, they won't tow for the city anymore. The problem with that is that dozens of other Ohio cities do regulate towing operators and still get their calls answered. So the claim that we don't have the bargaining power to regulate towing is just as false as the claim that we don't have the legal power to regulate towing. So what are the other reasons to not regulate towing? I haven't heard any, so don't ask me. Why would we regulate towing? Maybe because we regulate everything else from food trucks to landlords. Maybe because it's what most other Ohio cities do. Maybe because towing operators are confiscating the single most valuable possession of most city residents. Often the possession that gets those residents to and from work and enables them to make a living. Maybe because this confiscation is often happening at the request of the city. So maybe given what's at stake for city residents and the fact that the city is directly involved, perhaps those are more reasons to regulate towing locally like most other cities do. But there's another reason. We already know what things look like without regulation, because the city administration already refuses to regulate towing in defiance of city and state law. And the situation this has created is one that's rife with abuse. Operators literally have been charging almost 3 times the legal maximum simply because they knew they could get away with it. They've repeatedly lied to media about the laws that govern their industry. We've heard horror stories of companies towing without being called first, stories about them refusing to let drivers reclaim their vehicles before being towed away for half the applicable fee, stories of them only accepting cash in those situations when the revised code requires them to carry mobile card readers, stories about towing operators trying to intimidate people, and in the rare instance where somebody has sued a local operator for overcharging, the operator has just returned their money to avoid a court decision that could make it harder for them to illegally overcharge in the future. Another illustration, just last week I had an exchange with John Marshall, a driver for Athens Towing, in which he repeatedly refused to say what his company charges, even though he already told the Post last fall that it's charging up to the PUCO fee caps, not the city fee caps, and instead posted my home address online and threatened me. And you don't have to take my word for that, because he did this in public on the West Side Facebook page within the comment thread of a post made by Councilmember Spielness. That's the level of impunity that local towing operators feel thanks to the city administration's refusal to regulate them. I can email you all that exchange so you can see for yourself. One interesting part of it is that Athens towing owner John Melville also attempted to misrepresent a federal statute to claim that both the city and state lack the authority to regulate towing, when the statute he cited literally says the exact opposite. So please weigh these reasons when making your decision. Thank you.
All right, any other comments? All right, we'll move on to ordinances for first reading. 9422 is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to redesignate Hocking Athens Perry Community Action, HAPCAP, to administer the Athens public transit bus system. And this is introduced by Councilmember Reisner.
Thank you, Madam President. We've discussed this in committee, and I could read the whole ordinance, but basically the title here says everything about it. We've been using HAPCAP for several years. I believe they've done a really fine job of bringing transit into the area and expanding it out into the county, and I'm hoping that it will continue to expand. And I believe that when it comes time to have a third reading and we vote on it, that it passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other comments or questions from council members, administration, or our audience members? If not, 9522 is our next ordinance. This is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to redesignate Hocking Athens Perry Community Action, known as HAPCAP, as contract administrator for the Ohio Rural Intercity Bus Program, known as GO Bus, introduced by Councilmember Reisner.
Let's see. Well, again, the title pretty much covers the entire ordinance here. So I really don't have any more to say about it. We've discussed it in committee. I think, again, HAPCAP has been doing a fine job for us. And personally, I like Go Bus a lot. I take it to Columbus and back all the time.
And it's worked well. I think it's worked well for students, and it's also good to see that it gives people access to Columbus, Cincinnati, and Dayton over to Marietta, and so and Cleveland. Yep. So done a good job and had a lot of riders, especially during the school year.
I'm a big proponent of mass transit. I like the idea of using a single mobile device to get people here and there. If I could do it, I'd put in trains too, but I don't have that kind of money.
Okay, thank you for the comments. All right, we'll move on to 9622, an ordinance authorizing the Service Safety Director to enter into a mutual assistance agreement with the South Central Ohio Major Crimes Unit, introduced by Councilmember McCary.
Thank you, President Nisley. This is something we discussed last week, and this is a memorandum of understanding that would allow the city and the Major Crime Unit to use shared resources, including personnel, facilities, and equipment in situations that address criminal activity and emergencies that occur across jurisdictional lines. These kinds of collaborations are mutually beneficial, and the only update I have here is that last week a question was raised about the specific reason why the Sheriff's Office is no longer engaged in this collaboration, and although I don't have that specific response now, just recognizing that they are using their own resources to pursue these kinds of investigations, I will report back when I do have any more specific information.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? All right, if none, we will move on to Ordinance 9722. This is an ordinance amending the 2022 appropriation ordinance and is introduced by Councilmember Crowell.
Thank you, President Isley. As discussed at committee, there are a number of items in this ordinance, and I'll go ahead and review those. $4,000 be appropriated to the general fund, City Council for the government channel server room cooling system. It has given us a good 15 years, but it is time for a new cooling system. Then we have three amounts that are for a court technology grant, $15,000 to the municipal court 101.106 TC 300, $17,550 to the judges court computer fund, $5,725 to the clerk of court computer fund. And that is a 2022 technology grant they got from the Supreme Court of Ohio. And the final item in this appropriation ordinance is $5,200 to Recreation Fund 270. And this is a donation from the Sojourners Resiliency Center. And this was raised, you may have seen in the local news, from two skate jam events at the Athens skate park. The Sojourners Resiliency these funds were raised through two skate jam events, one in October of 2021 and one in April of 2022. And the purpose of these events was to raise awareness and the funds for the Athens skate park repair, as well as to raise funds for the Sojourners. Our Director of Arts, Parks, and Recreation began to work with the organizers of the skate jam last fall, and they were able, the Arts, Parks, and Recreation was able to fund $10,000 in repairs, which made the $5,200 donation available to fund in addition to the skate park, which the skaters I know are very excited about. And the city is very grateful to those who organized the skate jam, as well as all those who attended and donated, and the city looks forward to continued relationship with the skate community, the Sojourners, and the skate jam. The Sojourners Resiliency Center has been open to serve young people ages 14 to 21 in Athens County, Ohio. It's located in downtown Athens and is a safe environment for young people to relax and to study and to connect with community resources and to enjoy recreation and valuable skills for living. And we're very pleased to have this relationship with them. So those are the items for the appropriation ordinance under consideration. Thank you, President Isley.
Thank you. And I think there's another skate jam event in August.
August 27th.
Okay,
Thank
good.
you.
Thanks, yeah. Okay, great. Any questions or comments from council members, administration, other elected officials, or our audience? If not, then we'll move on to a resolution for second reading. This is R322. A resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor. Introduced by Councilmember Crowell.
Would you like me to speak to it at second reading?
No, it's second reading, so
Okay,
we're
fair
fine.
enough.
And if no questions or comments, I'm just a little bit slow on the uptake here. I need my second cup of coffee. So if no comments or questions, then we will move on to announcements and other business. And I do want to begin to let people know about our schedule for the remainder of the summer. Next, first and third Mondays are regular business sessions typically, and second and fourth our committee meetings, and so we will be having one final session in next week on June 27th, and then council will be in recess for July. And we're returning on Monday, August 1, so just beginning to let people know what our schedule is like. Do we have any other announcements or other business? If not, we have an opportunity for citizens to speak on legislative items and city services that were not covered on the agenda. Is there anyone wishing to make a statement or speak? You have up to 3 minutes. If not, then we would have a motion to entertain for adjournment.
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? We are adjourned, and it is 7:36 PM. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.